Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Monday Morning Kickstart. Hope you're having another tremendous start to your week right here. And we're going to dive right into the thought-provoking part of the Monday Morning Kickstart before we go into the news for the week, which is class. We've got a new training in the portal. It's going to be a complete game changer here. Yeah, I'll get to it at the news. And then we've got a dynamite guest session coming up this week as well that I really want to highlight. So we'll go through that. And then the final piece of the puzzle is the hack of the week. So we're going to go through a very specific strategy that you can use going into this week to generate more leads and more sales. Just something that I'm seeing working across the board with people inside the program, ourselves, and also agency clients as well. These things are always changing, as you know. So these little hacks of the week are always class. But anyway, we're going to go into the thought provoker for the Monday Morning Kickstart. And today, I'm just going to highlight a system that we've got and why we have it. And it may change the way that you look at goal setting. And I know that instantly you're thinking goal setting, basic, not that exciting. But this is really, really important. When you want to hit those really, really chunky months inside your coaching business, it's really, really important that you are not focused on merely more. So going into every single month and just saying, hey, this is what I did last month, so if I beat that, then that's the win. Now, I get it that an all-time record month is a great thing, but when you have a system that works where you put money into it and sales come out the other side and cash collected ROI and contract ROI are great, then the speed in which you scale can very often come down to choice, or a large proportion of it can come down to choice and the actions that you're going to take. And if you're not clear on what the goal actually is, it will have you settle for merely more. So if you hit a 14K month, you'll hit a 15 or a 16K month. Whereas a 14K month, if you know the goal, the thing that you're aiming for, and you're focused on getting to that goal ASAP, then you are going to ask yourself different questions. You're going to ask, well, okay, so we've got the working system. What is the fastest route to get to X result, rather than merely having the goal of more? Okay, so it's a bit of a mindset switch, but it also dictates a lot of very practical action. Okay, now a system that we have inside the coaching team is every day, because obviously myself and the coaches are working with many individuals, giving feedback and things like that on a daily basis. So different coaches are hearing different wins, so we like to share the wins with each other. And so we've got a thread in which every day we'll just jump in, we'll share wins from the clients from that day. And so I'll share a few wins, and then Jen will share a few wins, and Emma will share a few wins, and Jack will share a few wins, and Phil will share a few wins, and we'll just talk about the wins that are happening inside the program, and we'll talk about not just what the win was, so that everybody's aware and everybody knows what that individual coach is working on and the results that they're getting, which is why when one of the coaches is giving you feedback, and then if, for instance, I dived in, there's a reason why I've got an understanding of exactly what you're doing and the results that you've gotten recently. Is because we do this, okay? But there's actually a bigger reason why we do this. It's so that we can then say, what is the next goal from here, so that we're all aligned on that. So it's not about all being aligned in terms of what that person that we're working with is doing and the results that they're getting. It's actually more about what is the goal, so that we're fully aligned on getting there as soon as possible. And so, I mean, when you see some of the biggest wins that we've had in the program over the last couple of years, those things didn't happen by chance. It was about taking a working system, which with everybody we start small, we optimize from there, and then as soon as it's optimized, then you've probably realized that we're not yes men, we're not yes women. It's really focused upon the fastest route to big chunky wins thereafter. So we take the great result and we focus on what is the big chunky goal that we're working towards, so that we're all fully aligned on that. And just making sure that at any moment, if myself or any of the coaches have potentially focused upon a chunky goal, but not the optimum possibility for that person right in front of us, or maybe set a time frame of, well, we really want to get here in the next 6 months. So maybe there's a question, why can't we focus on trying to get there within 3 months? Those types of conversations can happen as well. Okay. And so just as an example, yesterday, I shared in our thread together that a few that had come across my desk working inside Systems of Scale. Raul, with his masterclass, just made 30K from his first masterclass that he did, with another 60 that is in discussions and links sent and pipeline that's been created from the masterclass. So that was a brand new masterclass, about £500 spent, and he made 30K back on the other side of it. So not just is it a win, but what's the goal? And the goal is to get him to a 100K masterclass. And so now, if somebody else other than myself is giving feedback to Raul, it means that we're all aligned that that is the goal. And if we're seeing that, for instance, going into the next one, that it's, well, instead of spending $500, we're going to spend $600 here, which can yield a higher outcome. Instead, we're going to go, okay, well, we've got a chunky goal for you here. We really want to see you hit 100K from a single masterclass. So this is what we need to do. So we're thinking about the big chunky thing that has to happen on the front end and directing from there. We also had Audrey yesterday report that she's got 3 ad systems up and running. Every single one of them is very profitable, between 8 and 12x return on cash collected, not contract value, but an average of 10.5x return on her ads for her coaching business. Okay, so what's the goal there? Is it merely, oh, well, let's see if we can maintain a 10.5x return as we start to increase the budget that little bit more here and there? No, the goal is to have around 10 times the volume come through at a 5x return or above. You're probably aware that when we have a really good return on a relatively small ad spend, which for her is not like $10 per day, it's already at I believe about 40 per day. So, a really, really good return over the space of about 6 weeks or 8 weeks there. But as you start to scale aggressively, if you want 10 times the lead flow, then your ROIs might come down. So, a 10x return going to a 5x return. But a lot of people would think that that would be a negative here. But if you 10 times the lead flow, but you only half the ROI from the ads, you're going to have a drastically higher profitability at the end of the month. Okay, so us getting clear on what the goal is inside the coaching team helps us help Audrey, right, who I know listens to this, so she'll be listening to this right now. And then Hayden, I was sharing inside the thread as well, who actually was inside the private coaching, and we scaled his coaching business really well. And then he jumped into Systems of Scale to take things to the next level and work closer with myself. And that's been phenomenal. We've scaled the coaching business, but he's also now opened up a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu gym. So we created the plan for that. We've just launched the plan. We've just started the lead gen for it. And he's acquiring clients from his ads at between 15 and 20 pounds per client. And this isn't for a free trial. This is for a 12-week beginner's class, which is multiple hundreds of pounds. And if anybody's ever done Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu before, it's really good for it's a very sticky business. As soon as people get past that first couple of sessions, it's a very sticky business, and people stick around for a very, very long period of time. And so he had in the group, he said about, this is amazing in terms of the ROIs, the cost per acquisition, but we really want to be bringing in 45 people per month with this. So what do we have to do next? So I was saying to the team, the goal is to get to at least 200 a day in ad spend, so that we can get the volume required to be able to hit that goal consistently with the number of days that are still left inside the month. And so the big takeaway here isn't just, hey, we can, there's multiple ways to win. I mean, that could actually be a takeaway from this. There's multiple ways to win. Every single person there has a completely different business with completely different pricing structures, with completely different niches as well, which is bananas when I look at it actually. Raul's working specifically with dental practices. Audrey is specifically working with teachers so that they can teach online. Hayden specifically working with people who do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and from multiple different ways. But the biggest takeaway here is really about how we set goals on the other side of a win. And so, sure, there can be a bit of playing about to get to the goal. But as soon as you have the goal and the goal happens, so for instance, there could be a little bit of playing about to turn leads into sales. And that could be a systems thing. It could be a sales thing. It could be an audience thing. There's multiple ways to look at that type of scenario, right? So let's say there's loads of leads coming through, but you still need to turn those leads into sales. Once that thing is fixed, the goal doesn't become, where's there a second system? Where's there a third system? Where's there a fourth system? It's obviously about tripling down on the thing that you're doing. But even tripling down can be restrictive. So even saying tripling down is probably a bad use of words there from myself, because, tripling down on something, as in tripling the front end to get triple out the other side or thereabouts, could actually be restrictive from somebody that has a system that could vastly, outperform that. Okay? So a bit of food for thought there about how you set a goal once you get that working system. And it'll really help you with understanding what's required to get to those big, chunky wins that would completely change your life on the other side. And even if you have already hit big, chunky wins and big chunky numbers that have completely changed your life, there's levels to that. And so for instance, if somebody has gone from a newer business and they've hit the 20k and then they've hit the 50k and then they've hit the 75 and then they've hit the 100k, at that stage it's very easy when you hit a big chunky number like that to I'm just seeing my neighbor messaging me saying that he's got a ladder. But he's got a ladder because we woke up in the middle of the night with the fire alarm beeping. It was fantastic, absolutely great. But it's been a proactive morning because I just didn't bother going back to sleep. But anyway, I don't even know where I was with that. That kind of threw me off. But the big thing here is about once you've got that win, once you've got that system, once you've got a money in versus money out, and you've got much higher cash collected and contract value on the other side, the game becomes setting the target so that you are not restricted by merely settling for what you haven't experienced before, which is a very easy pattern to get into. The second thing that you can fall into is feeling that better is better. Better is technically better, but it shouldn't be restrictive. It shouldn't be restrictive to go from the 500 to the 600 pounds for the next masterclass in Raul's case. So you go from 500 to 600, you might feel like this is scaling, but realistically, when I spoke to Raul, I said, look, you've literally already made 30k. Imagine if everything went wrong with the next masterclass, but you had spent 2.5k on the next masterclass. You would still be, so three grand spent, so you would still be 10x up and you would have 27k in profit. And so when you think about things like that and you think about the targets that we're really looking for, that then helps us make those types of decisions. Why aren't you going to spend 2.5k on the next masterclass? Why are we going to go from 500 to 600 or 500 to 800? Go to 2.5k. If that works, and this is what I said to him exactly word for word, and if that works, then we'll just go and we'll do 7.5k for the next one. If that works, we'll do 12.5k for the next one. And we'll just keep scaling it as long as the system is continuing to bring in the right people and it's popping out incredible ROIs on the other side. Simple as that. And so this is a really big one that can completely change the speed of growth inside your coaching business and ultimately how big a coaching business you grow. So getting that system right on the front end is a very significant piece of the puzzle. Once that system is in place and you've got those predictable ROIs coming out the other side, then it really does become goal setting and asking yourself what is required to hit that next chunky target. If you don't take that one tiny step right there, it's too easy to fall into those two traps of either thinking, hey, this is the best that it's ever been, let's not, do anything differently. Or second of all, assuming that you're inverted commas scaling by moving things that little bit north. If you've already got really chunky ROIs, then the next thing is about setting that big chunky target and asking yourself, what is the fastest route to get there? And if you've ever got questions about that, you know that you can just literally ask us and we can direct you on what that next step is going to be. Okay?